everyone, and welcome to the first of what will be many Generation Liberty forums. My name is Renee Gorman and I am the National Manager of Generation Liberty, Australia's fastest growing youth liberty movement. And today I'm going to be joined by four fabulous campus coordinators. These are Generation Liberty's grassroots campus leaders. When we're going to talk about all things lockup, shutdowns, and everything COVID. So let's start some viral banter. First off, can you please welcome to the show, Boston Edwards, the campus coordinator at Wollongong University. Hi, Boston.
Hi, Renee. Thanks for having me.
You are a long-time contributor of the Young IPA podcast and always a legend in my book. So thanks for coming on the chat.
Thank you.
How are you going, Boston?
I'm going all right, actually, yeah. My phone broke today, actually.
Oh, no.
Find a place that's open to fix my phone.
Oh, no. Okay, so The next person to welcome to the show is a new campus coordinator. Her name is Laura Glase, and she's on one of the hardest fought battlegrounds and my old stomping ground, University of Sydney. So thanks for being on the show, Laura.
Hello, thanks for having me.
That is actually a lovely decor what you've got behind you. You're looking very like old England countryside.
You know, I just figured we're doing so many Zoom tutorials for uni, so many forums like this. It's got to be aesthetic. It just adds it. It's motivation to clean my room. So, may as well just go for it.
Yeah. Very Jordan Peterson
of you.
Thanks. Thank you for that. And another new coordinator, this time from Macquarie University. Hello, Anjali.
Hi, good to be on the show.
Anjali Nadaradjane is studying a Bachelor of Laws at the Macquarie University, and you can read some of her amazing writing at The Spectator Australia. So thanks for being on the show.
Thank you very much.
And last but certainly not least, the campus coordinator at Monash University and the star of the famous What I Wasn't Told series, which has 700,000 views by now, Luca Rossi. Great to see you, Luca.
Hey Renee, good to see you too. Happy to be here.
So first off, how are you all going? So I want to know where you are locked down and who you're with and how you're holding up. So Anjali, how are you doing?
I think I'm doing well for the time being. I'm currently in lockdown with my family and essentially just adjusting to this new way of life, the new corona way of life, which is very different. But yeah, so far I'm doing good.
And Boston, how are you doing?
I'm doing really well. If anyone watched the podcast last week, the Young IPA podcast, I was in lockdown and self-isolation because I was in contact with someone. I'm doing well. I'm with my mum, my stepdad, my two dogs. So that's exciting to be around the puppies all the time.
Oh, and you've got your, how big is your bulldog puppy now? Because you have a bulldog, which was a puppy a while ago and I died over the photos.
She's probably the size of a bread box.
Oh.
She's so cute. She loves me. I'm her favourite human.
Okay.
Don't let my mother say otherwise.
So are you getting a lot of exercise taking them out for walks and everything?
I don't take them for walks. Nancy, my other dog, the Neapolitan Mastiff, she's a bit anxious to go outside. So I just go for a walk by myself.
And Laura, how are you doing?
Yeah, look, so far so good. I'm happily locked down at my home. I'm here with my mum and my cat. And it's actually really nice. It's been a long time since we've all been in the same house together at the same time. My cat included, because he wanders off everywhere. He probably goes out more than the rest of us combined. So it's nice that we're all kind of just in the same space. We can talk and we're really just making the most out of a pretty dire situation.
I found at the beginning my cats were like, this is the best thing ever. I have my humour around all the time and they're loving life. And now they like barely notice I'm there anymore. They just sit around my computer while I work, but don't give me that much love. I think they're beginning to get sick of me.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's starting to happen. It's very sad. It's like when a child rejects you. It's like, no, love me.
And Luca, how are you doing?
Look, let's just say we haven't hit shining levels of cabin fever yet. It's me, my parents, and my sister, and my cat as well. But same with Laura, he's just kind of doing his own thing, just leave him be. Yeah, look, it's definitely been just like Laura, really just being at home with everyone for the first time in a long time, and all being kind of stuck together. Dad's a school teacher, so he's at home. My sister's at school, so she's at home. And yeah, it's definitely just been a bit of a wild ride getting used to it.
Yeah, I'm slowly adjusting. I probably don't have as much adjusting to do as you guys because I live with my husband, Zachary Gorman, who also works for the IPA. So I see him every day, and now I constantly see him every day. So now I'm just like, can I see some other people apart from your beardy face? But let's move on to some other questions. First off, I think a lot of our members and a lot of people are wondering what young people are thinking during this period of uncertainty. So first off, Laura, what do you think young people are concentrating or thinking about most right now? Do you think they're thinking about the future economic impacts?
Yeah, look, I really think they are. I mean, it's regardless, it's hard not to. When we have a crisis such as this, that it doesn't discriminate on its victims. It's affecting every single person, regardless of age or situation. But I think particularly for young people, it's the younger people who are either in their final years of high school or who are in university, that are primarily taking up our casual positions in the workforce. And these are the positions that we're seeing mass unemployment in at the moment. So I would argue that they're probably thinking more about the economic impacts and the future implications more than they are perhaps the social impacts. I'm hearing a lot of people talking about the clubs that they're going to go to and the parties that are going to happen, and everywhere they're going to go once the lockdown ends. But they're also very aware of the fact that in reality, a lot of these places won't be open. Bars won't be open. Clubs won't be open. It'll be very reminiscent of, Sydney lockdowns. And so I think it is, they're thinking of the impact that this is going to have on our economy nationally, the extraordinary debt that this is going to put our country in, but also the personal impacts of suddenly becoming unemployed and losing that crucial source of income at such a young age. It is at the forefront of young people's minds.
And do you think it's made other issues kind of fall into the background? I feel like young people are really concentrating on, their family, their future, their career right now, and thinking about the meaning of their life almost. Like it's almost created this kind of self-reflection period for everyone, but I think for young people especially because, you had this whole plan of where your life was going to go, and this has thrown this massive spanner in it early on.
Exactly. It's, we all had plans. I know I had lots of plans of things that I wanted to do this year and more than that, things that I wanted to do next year, but probably won't be able to do. And you're right, it has pushed a lot of issues, into the background. We're seeing fewer and fewer people coming out talking about, things like climate change or things about the environment for a lot of reasons. One of the reasons being that, we've seen, pollution decreasing, like air quality is increasing, water quality is increasing all around the world. And so I think it's forcing people to really, like you said, step back and reevaluate the things that are important in their lives. They're forced to be at home. They're forced to do nothing but look at themselves and focus on their studies, and their family, spend time with their family, and really make some value having people around in that communication that they're not getting. And I think for a lot of people, it's going to be quite confronting because they're going to realize that things that they maybe didn't hold as much importance over before is suddenly really crucial in their lives.
Yeah, I totally agree. But also you all coincidentally, we just chose coordinators for this first show, but you all coincidentally live in either New South Wales or Victoria, the states with the most restrictive measures. Luca, out of all these new measures, which one do you think seems the most kind of unnecessary and the most like government overreach? And do you think the government, your state government, the Victorian state government, has handled this crisis well?
Look, when you turn on the news and you see an elk leader who's gone for a drive with her mum, didn't plan on stopping anywhere, gets cops a $1,600 fine or whatever it was, I think you start to get a little bit worried, because then the question becomes, okay, sure, we need to social distance, we need to kind of not, go into public areas where there are too many people and things like that. And yet she's disputing it now, and I think it'll be crucial as to whether or not the fine is upheld or not, because it just seems as if this isn't about keeping people safe to an extent. It's like the government has now gone above and beyond what it should be doing to stop the spread. Some L driver with her mum in a car are not going to spread coronavirus. I don't know much about, I'm not exactly a virologist, but I'm pretty sure that's not how it works. But what seems really kind of scary is just how quickly the government is just able to take your rights away. You know, there's a virus going around. I understand to an extent it's necessary. I understand that, and we have a certain level of social responsibility as well. But suddenly it's just like, whoa, we've hit stage 3 lockdown in a matter of a couple of weeks out of almost nowhere. And it's just kind of happened. It's just kind of been thrust upon us. And suddenly, if you go out, you're worried you're going to cop $1,000 fine or more. And that, I think, to me, that's just really scary, kind of not knowing what the parameters are. And I think whether or not this fine gets upheld, especially with this learner, is going to be quite pivotal in kind of deciding what the scope is.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I feel like there's been a lack of clarity around the rules, and that's created a lot of problems. But Boston, what have you felt has been some of the restrictions that you're not sure about?
Well, I think both in New South Wales and Victoria, for a little while, like 7 hours or something, they had you can't see your partner there. So I'm laughing because I'm single. It's like, get over it. But anyway, no, seriously, I think that's a huge government overreach for the government to stop you from seeing someone you love and that you respect. That's just disgusting in my books. Like, I fought for marriage equality and all these other measures before. And now I'm seeing the government stepping up, saying, hey, you're not even allowed to see your partner. You're not allowed to have a relationship with your partner. That's just, in my opinion, that's just disgusting.
And I think it will have a lot of unintended consequences. And kind of on that, Luca, what do you think, out of the unintended consequences that are kind of going to happen because of these lockdowns, what is the one that probably worries you the most?
Well, the one that probably, there's no real one that worries me the most. I'd say that there are two that worry me the most. The first thing is, my grandfather lives in an aged care home, and he's not allowed to go outside lest he be isolated in his room, not on his floor, in his room for 2 weeks. And he's been calling us, you know, quite distressed, because he's like, I don't even want to go on walks around the floor anymore. I'm tired of being at home, or tired of literally being in a room with a bathroom. He says, I feel like I'm in prison. And what it seems to me is one of the unintended consequences of this lockdown is that the most vulnerable that we are understandably trying to protect are the ones that can also mentally suffer the most, and suffer the most psychological damage, which understandably, you know, we're trying to protect their physical health, but what of their mental health? Not sure if there's any way to fix that, but that's definitely one of the unintended consequences that kind of freaks me out. And the other thing is that hopefully people realize that the government, it seems as if the government wields so much power. The fact that our freedom just kind of poof out of the window. And suddenly there are police patrolling. Even I heard a story in New South Wales where a private gathering, the police went onto private property and disbanded a gathering of like 4 or 5 people. That's, to me, that's scary. But hopefully, but hopefully people kind of understand that, come to realize that the government suddenly wields so much power, and they're willing to be more critical of what the government does in the future.
No, I totally agree, Luca. I'm particularly concerned about what you talked about, you know, the most vulnerable people, but I also think people in society who get forgotten a lot are being even more pushed aside at the moment. I was so worried when I thought about this. If this had happened to me 10 years ago, when I was still a teenager and still living at home, this would have been possibly one of the worst things that could happen to me. And I'm so worried about the kids that I work with, you know, kids who live in abusive or violent households.
Yeah,
have
exactly.
no escape right now.
Exactly.
And when people say you're worried about this lockdown, you think we should start unwinding it, they're saying that you don't care about lives. Well, we care about lives. Of course we care about lives, but there's different lives and different measures that hurt different people. During the last global economic meltdown, there was a 10 or like almost a 10% increase in infant head trauma deaths from their parents because people were locked up. And don't those lives matter too? It is such a complicated issue that people continue trying to shut down information on when we need to be having more conversation on. And does anyone want to bounce off that?
And Renee, that's one of the reasons why the schools are remaining open. Like the government and the media doesn't talk about, but these schools are to escape the awful situation they face at home every day. So that is why that's why schools need to remain open. That's why even jobs, that's why as many jobs as people as many businesses can remain open for people to go to jobs, because there's young people out there who also suffer abuse at home who need to have that escape.
And it seems very, I think it feels very middle class and comfortable when people say, all you need to do is stay home. And it's like, yeah, but home is a comfortable, welcoming, safe place for you. That's not true for a portion of the Australian population. So it's not as easy for everyone. So this whole trying to look at this as overly simplistic really, really worries me. But
it's kind of disgusting,
we'll move on.
Really.
Yeah, or maybe maybe on to something like a little bit more lighthearted. We're talking about unintended consequences. Unintended consequences of the lockdown. I know a lot of people are going to try some new looks. I've seen a lot of quarantine beards. Some people are cutting their hair at home, trying some colours at home. Is anyone going to try a new do while they're stuck at home?
I want to. I don't think my mother agrees with me or Laura agrees with me.
Don't do it.
I've been contemplating it for a long time. I want to bleach my hair and dye it like a light pink or turquoise or like a red or something.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Don't let this message for anyone who is planning on dyeing their hair, bleaching it, cutting your hair. It's not worth it. This lockdown will end. It will end. We're going to go back into society and we're going to live our lives again. It is not worth damaging your hair or
even
yourself.
Before the lockdown, I was thinking about it.
No, I think we could vibe Boston personally. Before when I was probably roughly your age, maybe a little bit young, maybe maybe a year older, I used to have pink tips to the end of my hair,
nice.
Ombre'd out into a pastel pink. But then I got a job at a senator's office, so I had to cut it all off. But you know, I'm in lockdown now, and I'm head of Generation Liberty. I'm supposed to be like, you know, vibing the young look. I think I could.
You are young, Renee.
You.
Yeah, I know. It probably could, you know, get away with some, you know, bright colours in my hair. But let's just hope I don't get an angry call from my boss after this. So don't dye
Definitely support Boston and Renee there, because I'm thinking like I would also like to see what I would look like with, say, hot pink streaks, and I think this is
that would look great.
Definitely.
Definitely long. At least I'll only have to inflict my appearance on my own.
Please.
I will just throw it out.
Oh no.
But you would inflict it on us, and we would start the pink posse. It would be really great. But more seriously, Anjali, what do you think young people should be thinking about right now or concentrating on to prepare for the future now? Or do you think that everything's too up in the air and that you can't really pre-plan right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that young people really need to be preparing, as Laura did mention, for the prospect of perhaps a deep recession because of the economic shocks that we're facing from COVID-19. And I think that there's a lot of entry-level jobs, casual engagements, and often junior staff positions that young people have. So they will most likely be the very first people to lose their jobs because they aren't in indispensable positions. So I think that many young people are in gig economic sectors, they're self-employed, they're freelancers, so their jobs are less secure. And I think that as we reach this sort of economic recession, we need to have young people figuring out how can they adapt and build resilience to handle this difficult challenge that we will be facing and to find opportunities in this crisis. So I think that you need to recognize as a young person, if you are still employed, what are the risks currently in your job? You need to look at whether or how you can diversify your skills or build transferable skills that are prepared to deal with a very different job market post-coronavirus. And I think that even looking at opportunities currently, what are the industries or markets that are the most attractive? I know a lot of online companies that don't really rely on that sort of brick or mortar sort of location are actually doing quite well. And I think the fact that many companies have realized the benefits of shifting digitally will also be very beneficial as well to young people to consider where perhaps the jobs will lie in the future. And even things like supply chains, there's going to be a lot of surge in manufacturing now that we've realized and rethought about our sort of dependency on certain countries for manufacturing. So I think that young people should be sort of cognizant of that and sort of capitalize on those opportunities in the future, because it's going to be a very different job market when we return. And I also think for those young people who are still in school, not to neglect that, to remain self-disciplined, because while universities, I think currently aren't recording fail marks and all year 12 students are going to graduate with an 8, I think that it's really detrimental if you neglect that, because that's going to really affect longer term goals and opportunities that you might want to pursue in the future.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think also something that kind of Laura touched on earlier in your episode that you're kind of bringing up is it's making you rethink certain decisions. It's making you rethink. I think it's going to make a lot of young people rethink that they need more practical skills and applicable skills, because I know a lot of young people, and I always tell people not to make this mistake, is I'm not sure what I'm going to do after high school, so just sign up to an arts degree, because that's the easy way out. I think a lot of people who signed up for first year arts are going to be dropping out.
There's nothing wrong with arts degrees though.
Nothing wrong with arts degrees. I'm talking to a group of arts degrees, and I'm creative arts, so I can't talk.
Yeah, I'm arts as well, but I'm
It
still
goes
going to
arts,
say,
creative arts.
You know.
Nothing wrong, but if it's good to go into an arts degree if you know what you're going to do with that arts degree. It's not good to go to an arts degree, like it's not good to go to any degree just because you don't know what to do. So I think there's going to be a lot of rethinking of those decisions. But also talking about rethinking things, Boston, do you feel like this has altered your views politically in any way? Does it make you more libertarian or more conservative? Or do you think, as far as young people, will it push them more towards freedom or more towards big government control? Do you think this crisis, how is it going to impact how people think about politics?
Look, personally, I'm a weird mix of beliefs. So I'm a conservative, I'm a libertarian, and I'm even progressive on some things as well. So like, I honestly don't know where my views are going to end up after all this ends. I think it will obviously be we should have less government control in our lives, because this is proving the point that even if it's good intentions made by the government can overreach, and government can make some terrible decisions. So I think, even broadly speaking with young people, I think young people will start to realise that maybe government isn't as good as we think it is. Maybe we need to put limits on government power and political power, because our freedom is at stake. Like, our freedom could be at stake.
No, I totally agree. But I'm thinking that I know you're a very, very, very staunch monarchist and a royal fan. Yes. I don't think that would have changed after the recent speech by the Queen. I'd just like to know your thoughts.
No, it didn't change. I thought her speech captured the human spirit and was a very positive and very hopeful message. I've been listening to politicians rant on for ages throughout this crisis. Sometimes they'll be positive, like, I'm not going to deny it, but they've been very like, oh, it's going to take 6 months. They haven't given us hope. They haven't given us a reason to believe that this will end soon. But I think Her Majesty has. And I loved her dress, by the way. Have you seen the memes? Anyone?
Oh, because it was a green dress?
Because it was a green dress, yeah. My favourite was the Starfleet Admiral one.
Yeah, oh, amazing.
Laura, what did you think of the Queen's address?
look, I'm a huge fan of the royals too, particularly Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth. I think she said exactly what she needed to say and exactly what needed to be said. And it was the right thing to do, you know, just like echo everything Boston said. She focused not on the chaos or the terror that, you know, we're experiencing because of the virus, but instead focused on uniting us all through our shared experiences, what she called a common endeavor in bringing peace and comfort to people around the globe. And this wasn't, you know, she was calling on us to do this not based off an instruction from a government or from another body of authority, but just because it was, you know, our own individual responsibility to do so, to take care of ourselves, to protect ourselves, and also to just be considerate and to take care of others. And so I was curious. Obviously, she's not at liberty to comment on specific actions or policies of her government, of either the British government or the Commonwealth government. So I am curious to see what she actually thinks about the government's response. But that's just going to be a little bit of a mystery for us, I think.
Can I just point out our supposedly unbiased national broadcaster, the ABC? How dare they not broadcast our Queen's message?
So
She only gives a speech
Channel 7.
Channel 7, yeah, even Channel 7's being better at it than ABC. The ABC is in bed with the Australian Republican movement, and it's time for the ABC to become unbiased, otherwise they've got to cop it.
Well, Channel 7 has had a record of reflecting the public better than the ABC. And,
Exactly.
and one of my favourite stories is a few years ago when they cut some of the ABC budget. The ABC tried to annoy, you know, what they thought would be like conservative old people by getting rid of the Shoot Shield, which is like the second grade rugby cup. But because it was something that was actually watched on the ABC, Channel 7 purchased it immediately and made all this money. Proving again that the ABC is not a viable or economic system behind that. They just lost money doing it. So, I've been so happy to talk to you all about this, but I get worried right now. I do think there is a lot of, do you guys feel like young people are sometimes a forgotten voice in this discussion that's taking place right now? It seems like any opinion voiced by a young person about stopping the lockdowns, you're labeled as selfish, you don't care about lives. And also just the concerns of young people seem to be getting kind of swept under the rug, while simultaneously in the past, people would have been calling for young people to help during this crisis. Do you think it's a combination of cultural problems before, or young people not taking up the charge? It could be our fault. Anjali, what do you think?
I definitely agree with you that young people are often portrayed as reckless and self-indulgent for wanting to have a social life. But I think that as a generation, young people are going to face some of the toughest challenges of any generation. Like, we're facing interrupted educations, many of us having to prolong or extend our degrees or delay it, late graduations, which also translates to, you know, missed job opportunities or a lost chance to begin your career. And it's going to be very difficult for young people. And I think that people forget that young people are bearing much of the brunt of this virus shutdown and its economic impacts. The news tends to focus a lot on vulnerable groups or the impact on the wider economy. But young people, I do feel, are left out of this conversation many times.
Luca, how are you feeling? Do you think young people are getting enough of a voice in this discussion?
I think that in general, it seems as if the discussion as a whole is quite censored. It seems as if it's more like, okay, guys, no more time for discussion now. It's time for us to just put these lockdowns in place, and everyone just kind of needs to follow what we say you need to do. We being the benevolent and omnipotent and omniscient government. Everyone just needs to stop what they're doing, stay at home. We know what's best. It's no time for discussion. And it seems as if, when you have, for example, I've seen on the news in the mornings, the Premier of New South Wales stands there every morning for a briefing, talking about, okay, everyone needs to stay at home. Everyone needs to be isolated. And then who comes up next? Who's standing next to her? The Chief of Police. What kind of message does that send to people? the Queen's, if we're going to go back to the Queen's speech, as Laura and Boston pointed out, it came from a place of humanity. We as humans have a social responsibility. We need to protect our fellow man. But our lockdown, its enforcement comes from a place of, guys, this is what we have to do, and you guys just need to listen to us. It feels like there's no discussion here. That's what it feels like to me. And it seems as if young people are being locked out, yes, but everyone else is being locked out as well. And it seems as if people are just having to follow what is being imposed on us without so much of a say in it. One could argue that that's a necessity because of just the speed with which things have developed, but there should always be room for a discussion. There should always be room for a dialogue and people to be able to voice their concerns, be they young or vulnerable or wherever they might come from. And it seems as if that as a whole is being shut down and suppressed.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you, Luca. I also think the thing that concerns me is the lack of fight back or the lack of friction that's created in Australian society, that we've kind of accepted it pretty easily. You know, those people who are fighting against it could be, we don't hear them. But I really feel like it's been very quietly, we've all kind of subdued into the background and accepted these. And I think these lockdowns will end once it's safe to do so, and once we have the proper methods in place, but also once there's enough public outcry. I think the silence that Australia has gone into is one of the things that's really hurting us, and means that, you know, there are other countries that have had similar levels of infection who've already announced that they're coming out of lockdowns by the end of the month, while we keep being told that it's 6 months, which, I don't know about you guys, seems absolutely insane to me right now. I'm going to be climbing the walls by 6 months. But you're all university students, so who better to give our viewers some advice on the best quarantine foods? So you guys should be well versed on cheap, easy foods as university students. So I want to know from all of you, what has been your favorite lockdown snack? First with Laura.
Gosh, I don't know if this counts as a snack, but I could not get through this without coffee, which is odd because it's not even like I'm doing anything that I need to be awake for. Like, yeah, sure, I do my classes and I'm still working, but my commute is from my bedroom to the living room. So it's not like I really need it, but it was just so part of my daily routine beforehand that I started having like withdrawal headaches the other day just because I had a coffee that day. And I was like, why am I feeling this way? And then someone was just like, have you had a coffee? And I'm like, no, I haven't. And it fixed everything. So I think just like coffee is it's life juice. And I think I've just locked myself into this, like I've just trained my body into needing it now that I'm just stuck. So I'm just going to keep rolling with it and see what happens.
Boston?
I've been on a diet, so I've lost 6 kilos during this lockdown.
Oh, wow. Well done.
Damn.
So I've been drinking shakes and eating healthy, but I have, when I have taken those little breaks, those sneaky little breaks, I've been having toasted cheese sandwiches, but with pizza sauce on it, like as a filling.
What?
And cheese.
Ooh.
I would 100%.
It's like a margarita toasty.
That's eye-opening.
So good.
Whoa. My third eye is like...
Your world has changed.
This is crazy.
Anjali? Oh, Luca, you go first.
Oh, no, because I was just going to jump in and be like, you guys have all got such great advice. See, Laura, I went the other route, and I was like, you know what? Seeing as the lockdown's coming up, I know the coffee is going to drive me insane, so I'm just going to cut myself off before the lockdown happens.
Oh, my God. No.
So I went off the coffee.
No.
I did, and for 2 weeks, I went, because
Wow.
I tutor as a job, and for 2 weeks, usually I'm pretty like, upbeat and stuff at work, but for about a week and a half to 2 weeks, everyone at work was like, dude, something's up, what's going on? Are you okay? And I was like, no, I swear it's just because I'm trying to stop coffee. And they're like, no, there must be something else wrong.
No.
But look, I have to say, I'm not going to, I don't want to have to go the route of like toasted cheese sandwiches with pizza sauce because that requires too much effort from me. Seaweed, cup noodles and seaweed crackers, guys. Jump on it.
Yeah.
It's two of the greatest
very
things
true.
in existence, especially the hot
Do you break the
spicy
crackers
cinnamon
into
cup
the noodles?
No. So I don't actually eat them together. That would be sacrilegious on my part. But seaweed crackers, I've gone through like 2 packets a day of seaweed crackers. They're amazing. Get on them.
It's really high.
Wow.
That's very high in iodine. That's very good for you.
Oh, well, there you go. I can rationalize it to my parents now when they say that you're eating too much junk food. Nah, iodine.
Iodine increases thyroid support, and thyroid helps your immune system, so you're preventing yourself from getting sick.
Hey.
Whoa, let me just write that down. So alcohol and seaweed crackers, we're doing well.
Well, yeah, they found a lot of, which I can't put it out as fake news because, Trump said that some medications were showing signs of helping people. And then some woman tried to say that her husband drank fish cleaner and died, and it's because of Donald Trump. So this isn't medical advice, everyone.
Cup noodles will not make you immune. I can guarantee.
No, okay. And also, gin and tonic's supposed to be good. They found that anything that helps with malaria is helping with COVID. And Anjali, what is your favorite snack or meal been during this time?
I've got 2. Almond butter, because it tastes amazing with like everything. And like you can kind of assure yourself that it's healthy, so that like it warrants you having like 3 spoons or like more, like the whole jar. And it tastes good with everything. And also like sweet potato chips, like homemade.
Yum.
Paprika or curry butter or like just it's so good. And like at least you won't be like tempted to like bake yourself muffins or cookies if you've got like healthy-ish snacks, hopefully. But yeah. So good.
I found this time for me has been just me doing all these recipes that I didn't have time for before. So I've made khachapuri, which is homemade Georgian cheese bread, which is delicious. Highly recommend.
Wow.
And I've done homemade Chinese dumplings. I've done a lot of homemade meals, but I think my snack that I keep going back to is chicken nuggets. Frozen chicken nuggets. Just chuck them in the oven. I've got a good brand. They're free range. They're delicious. And you feel like a 10-year-old when you're sitting in front of the TV eating them. And it's very comforting.
Nice. That's awesome.
I think everyone deal with the comfort of chicken nuggets. I think that is the wrap up of the show. So thank you everyone for sharing your thoughts right now. I am again Renee Gorman. I'm the National Manager of Generation Liberty, and I have the great privilege of having these 4 awesome people on my team at Generation Liberty: Boston, Laura, Anjali, and Luca. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks very much for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
And thank you all for listening. If you are not a member of Generation Liberty, go to generationliberty.org.au and become a member today. For only $10, you will get some awesome merch, and make sure that you follow Generation Liberty on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you for listening. Stay safe, stay happy, and stay free.